Just working on there was this seam here. You have to be careful not to overlap a whole lot, because where there's double flow media, there's double the flow of the resin. And you don't want to suck all the way across it prematurely, because then you just fill up your resin pot. So this is one of the hardest things to lay down because it doesn't stick very well. That's why I use duct tape. It seems to be the cheapest alternative I've found to actually keep it stuck down where it's supposed to. So next I'm going to lay down the vacuum and resin tubes. And once those are down, we'll be ready for the bag. So now that that's down, we're going to put down the vacuum and infusion tubing, which is spiral tubing. Basically this allows resin to flow through it and into the flow media, and vacuum to suck through the other side. So we tape this down on the edges. And then we do the other side. One of the things I've learned is how to go in and out of the bag without actually popping the bag. In my experience, that's never a good thing. So this is the clear vinyl tubing. This is what hooks up to the vacuum pump and or the resin suck bin, whatever you want to call it. You go through the edge of the bag, that way you don't have to actually pop the bag. And then this is actually the suck side, so I'm setting it up. And then the resin feed side will go over here. Kind of kitty corner reverse. So I basically spiral the end of the tube in there and I just tape it. That way it's, you don't do it for an airtight seal because it won't be airtight, but you do it for prevention against popping the bag because the spiral stuff is very sharp. And then I'll do one more step before we're ready to actually put the bag on. So I've got one side completed, which is, you can see the flow tube underneath the flow media. I just do a separate little strip like this and cover the actual spiral tubing because, as I mentioned earlier, it's very sharp, and I found out the hard way that cuts bags under vacuum catastrophically. I never did actually lose a complete part, but let's just say I was running around with my head cut off like a chicken because it was fun to try to patch that bag all the way up and down each side. So I'm getting these taped down, and then we'll be ready for the bag. And now we're finally into the bag. Hours of work just to lay some plastic down. Easiest way I've found is to simply just roll the bag out. Yeah, be careful not to set anything down on it because it will pop. And having a hole mid-infusion is annoying. I like to do a little bit extra just because, again, the bag is pretty cheap compared to all the time and money we just put inside the mold. Get a nice little groove going with your scissors, and you can just cut it nice and smooth. So, I just pick an edge on the long side and basically start sticking. Peel the tape up underneath the backing and peel it out. Working your way around. And I generally go to the other side and do the same thing. As you can see, there's a lot of extra in there, which we'll take care of in the form of pleats. Just let the bag suck down by itself. So I've got all the main bag taped down. We have these pleats left over. Basically I have to slip in some tape along the seam and get that done. There's 4 pleats, 1 in each corner. And the reason for that is I wanted extra bag inside, so that way it actually suctions down all the way. The bag is going to wrinkle, that's not a problem, but if there's any airspace or if the bag tries to pull across anything, the bag doesn't really stretch. But you can see here, this is all down. Before I bagged it, I decided to tape this edge because the carbon ran out a little wider than I wanted. And one little carbon sliver through here would actually cause an air leak, and a very slow air leak, but you don't want that. You lose vacuum during an infusion. It's frustrating. But yeah, so we have the pleats left, and then we're ready to rock. All right, guys, we have the bag completely sealed with tape, and I'm going to turn the. We also have it hooked up to our vacuum pot, which protects the pump against excess resin. And let's see, turn the vacuum pump on. Now while that's drawing down, I'm going to help guide some things through the plastic here until it has a good suction. Pretty hard in a second here, you'll hear it. Going around and listening for vacuum leaks and pressing the tape in. There we go, it's pretty much down. We'll let it go to full vacuum and then clamp it off to make sure it holds vacuum. So we're pulling almost 29 inches of mercury, which is about as high as this pump goes, so we know I've got a good seal. Now we shut the pump off. And we make sure it holds vacuum for a while before we start infusing. Part 3 is tomorrow. It's going to take a while to get everything infused. It's getting a little bit in the late to do that as well as trying to cook it all. So tomorrow morning you get part 3.